This illustration, provided by the Kansas State Historical Society, shows George L. Douglas, Speaker of the Kansas House of Representatives, using a sledgehammer to bash in the doors in 1893 as Republicans took control of the Kansas State House's Legislative Hall during what was known as the Legislative War. This is Tim Hrenchir, the history guy for CJ Online, talking about that conflict, which took place 127 years ago this month. It involved the Republican Party and the Populist Party, which was focused on improving conditions for farmers. Kansas voters in November 1892 elected populist Governor Lorenzo Llewellyn, shown here, as well as a Kansas Senate in which the populists were the majority, and a Kansas House in which the Republicans outnumbered the populists 65 to 58, with the other two members being Democrats. As Llewellyn was inaugurated at this ceremony in January 1893, both sides claimed they held the majority in the House, with the populists saying the Republicans had used fraud to obtain 18 of their House seats. Both parties elected their own speakers of the House and spent about a month holding separate sessions in the same legislative hall. The populist House was recognized as being the legal body by Governor Llewellyn and the populist-dominated state Senate, which continued to meet as usual. Meanwhile, considerable conflict existed between the two competing houses. On February 14, 1893, two deputy sergeants of arms of the Republican House tried to arrest Ben C. Rich, chief clerk of the Populist House, who was rescued by his friends. The Populists, shown here, then took up arms and barricaded the doors to the Legislative Hall. The Republicans, who were armed and led by their Speaker, Douglas, pushed aside the outer guards the next day. They used a sledgehammer to smash their way into the Legislative Hall, where they are shown here after taking possession. The Populists retreated to a meeting room in the State House basement. Populist Governor Llewellyn called out the state militia. He ordered the commander of those troops, Colonel J.W.F. Hughes, shown here, to eject the Republicans. But Hughes, a Republican, refused, saying he considered the order illegal. Meanwhile, others arrived to protect the Republican-occupied legislative chambers, including these men. The conflict was resolved without bloodshed when the two sides agreed to let the Republican-dominated Kansas Supreme Court decide who legally had control of the House. That court concluded later that month that the Republicans legally had control. The Populist Party would disband in 1909. This is Tim Hrenchir, the history guy for CJ Online.